Welcome back to the Ghosted podcast. And you know why you're here to talk about all things dating, single, flirting today is something we're going to get into, especially for the guys. I feel like sometimes maybe people think flirting is just reserved for the ladies, but it can be for any gender, perhaps. And we'll get into that. I also want to preface this by saying we're going to talk about how everything in your life obviously is important when it comes to dating, but just how important your social circle might be when it comes to your dating life and how you can work on that, improve that, elevate that, feel more confident in that realm so that you can meet a great person. So I have my expert guest here today. Jared Laurence is the founder and CEO of Modern Flirting, where he coaches men on improving their social and dating lives. Jared, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. So, modern flirting, what exactly does that mean? What have we modernized about flirting these days?
Well, modern flirting, what it stands for, at its heart of what it means, is creating success stories with single men. And when I say a success story, I mean guys who are able to finally have a proven system, proven techniques, proven path that's going to help them with their social and their dating life. It's the kind of stuff that we don't get to learn really from our father. We don't really learn in school. We definitely don't learn it from society and Disney. So there's a lot of guys out there who are left confused, frustrated, alone, and struggling. A lot of guys get ghosted, right? So really what modern flirting is, it's a place, it's a community, it's a mentorship, it's a culture that helps empower these men to live their best life possible, their dating and social life possible. And for women, I'm trying to make guys less creepy and more awesome for you. So I'm doing what I can here.
Yeah. Hey, if we can both work together to make sure people get ghosted less, hence the name of the podcast, Ghosted, let's do it. And I think something that comes up a lot on this podcast and in general when I'm working with people is that everyone assumes they know how to date. And if you listen to this podcast regularly, you know that you don't know. So I think it is important to figure it out, learn about yourself, learn about other people. And so obviously we're going to get into all kinds of tips and advice from you, Jared. But I'd love to give people a little background on kind of where you're coming from in all of this and what got you into wanting to work with single men.
Well, I was one myself. I mean, I came into this where I was the guy who was the shortest kid in his class, fattest kid in his class. I was always very bullied, had no friends, couldn't get a girl to save my life, honestly. Really struggled. I mean, I found a girl who would be willing to come to prom with me, and she ended up sleeping with another guy at prom in the bathroom. And I found out I had to watch that happen. Oh yeah, totally messed up stuff. I saved myself for marriage for this one girl who, dated for a year and a half, saving myself. She was a virgin and I was a virgin. We broke up after a year and a half of dating. And then within 2 months, she started dating another guy. And in 1 month, she lost virginity to him. And I'm just like, what did I do wrong? What is going on here? Broke my heart. Couldn't get into a fraternity. I was hazed. I pledged. I did all the stuff. And of all the people in the pledge class, I was the only one where they're like, sorry, you're not really what we're looking for. We can't even pay to have friends. So I just felt like a loser my entire life. I felt like I wasn't belonging anywhere. I felt very frustrated, lonely, clinically depressed. I was on antidepressants at the time. I think the password to my computer at that point was life sucks. So I was doing this like daily affirmation and I was just in a very bad place. So I decided to take it on myself to, number one, I made my major in college to be psychology, not because I really cared about becoming a psychologist, but because I just want to understand people. I want to understand what I'm doing wrong, what is going on here. And I found these forums, I found this community of self-proclaimed, pickup artists and seducers and all this stuff who's like, we know what women want, we know what it takes, you got to do X, Y, Z. So I threw myself into this community and started going out and taking action. I started approaching women. I started learning anything and everything from anyone and everyone I could find. I became really obsessed with it because I saw it working. It was getting very addicting. It was very like, oh my God, this is kind of working, this is kind of working. And all of a sudden I had hope when before it was kind of like, look, unless you're ridiculously good looking or have a ton of money or whatever, society says sucks to be you as a guy, right? Or otherwise, or just be confident, just be yourself. But that's not any clear instruction. So once I had clear instruction, once I had things I could implement and do, I was just, I mean, you couldn't keep me in the house, Abby. I was out every night meeting women, practicing this as much as possible. And just one thing led to another. And here I am. I never thought I was going to make a career of it, at least back then. I just wanted to get this down and get this area of my life handled. But it became my passion and my meaning of life right now.
Got it. And I think we should probably rewind a little bit for
Yeah.
people who don't know what a pickup artist is. We should probably explain. Can you kind of define that?
Yep.
And I know they do get a little bit of a negative reputation. I know that's not
As
your
they
focus
should.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, as they should. But I mean, at the heart of it, if we're talking about a pickup artist. I think it's a broadly defined thing. It's a guy who believes he's a Casanova, Don Juan. It's a guy who feels he can walk up to any girl and seduce her panties off and say all the right things and do all the right things and pick that girl up, whether it means get a number, get her in bed. He's just that sweet talking guy that knows exactly what to do, exactly what to say. That is the imagery of the pickup artist. I think these days fuckboy is probably the new modern way of describing these guys. But
Oh my
back then
gosh.
that wasn't a
Yeah.
term, so it was the pickup artist, and which is more like
Right.
nice, fancy, artsy way of kind of saying it.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny when you say fuck boy, which, if we need to be censored, someone censor us. But,
Oh, can we not curse? My bad.
no,
I'm
we
sorry.
totally can. I'm kidding.
all right.
I'm kidding. I almost think of that as like, the fuck boy has a little less class. I
Yeah.
feel like the pickup artist comes off as like a little more classy initially. They're
Right.
probably a little bit better dressed. Their house might be a little more put together versus they're kind of like the ex frat boy in the other sense.
Yep.
But yeah, there's been definitely a lot of like negative things about pickup artists because you're like, oh, you're just manipulating women to get them to do what you want.
Correct.
So, how did you like take what you learned doing that and then turn it into something that is not manipulative?
So a few things happened in that progression of mine, right? So number one, a pickup artist's entire identity, and keep in mind, I was a self-proclaimed pickup artist for 2 to 3 years. So I went through all of that probably from 20 to 23. I'm 36 now, 37 in a month. I'm getting old.
You're not
But
getting old yet. I have clients
feels
that are
it.
85.
I got the grades coming in. I got like, yeah, it's like 2023, definite pickup artist, type and lifestyle for me. You got to realize that identity is solely based on a validation of sex. It's based on how often you're getting sex, how hot the girl is. You're comparing it with other guys. You're basically trying to prove that you are better than other guys. Oh, you got this 8, I got a 9, and oh, you got laid once this week, I got laid twice this week, and we got it.
Oh, God.
It's built into the identity. Oh yeah, it's completely built into the identity. And then with the pickup artist subculture, people are sharing their stories, and they call it lay reports, field reports, where they're sharing it online, where they write up what happened as kind of like to brag about
Didn't
this.
know that. Oh my
Oh,
God.
it's a whole thing. So it was a whole culture where you're like, I feel good and validated as a man because of this, right? Because to be fair, it is hard. I mean, for women to go out and get sex and whatever, like there's sexual abundance for women, obviously, right? It's not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's a given. But for the most part, I think everybody can agree women have a much easier time getting sex than men do. So from the man's point of view, for all these guys, especially guys who have my kind of background, right? They were kind of losers. They were nerds. They never had real success with women before. Doing this stuff was incredibly validating to the point where it was like a drug, and it felt really, really good at the time. But then after 3 years of it, after a while of it, you start noticing it's not fulfilling. It can get lonely. It's a rat race, kind of like similar to making money, because you could just keep making more and more and just like, what's the point of this? Like once you get to a certain level, you're just kind of like wondering, why am I still doing this? And who am I trying to impress? Who am I trying to prove? There's nothing real, and you feel shallow. You feel bad about yourself. So that's kind of what I started noticing. And I also noticed all these pickup artist guys, they were surrounded more by men that they were trying to impress than actually women. So that was, I think, the first big red flag. I'm looking around and I'm like, these guys don't have women in their lives. They get laid randomly, but then the girl kind of catches on and realizes this was just manipulation and tricks. And she becomes wiser and they move on. Now the guy has to go hunting again, right? And I'm like, this is not working. They don't really have a lifestyle that I'd like and respect, right? So
Right. Like probably no pickup artist is saying, I want to be in a committed monogamous relationship.
no, never, never.
No.
And not even relationship. Like they just don't have women they know. They don't have they can't keep a girl in any capacity.
Hmm.
Um, and I would notice I would go out and I would see these groups of people, guys and girls, and I'd be talking to a girl and then her guy friend would just be like, "Come on, Chrissy, we're leaving to the next place." And she'd be like, "All right." It doesn't matter how good I was doing. I could have been wowing her and impressing her. She'd be like, "Oh, I gotta go with my friend. Anyways, great meeting you. Bye." And she would leave with him. And I'm like, how does he have this down where he's just surrounded by all these girls? So that was the first alluring thing to me. So the light bulb kind of went off that I'm like, I need to have female friends. I need to actually be around women, have female friends, get to know them outside of just picking them up in bars and reading them about them in books. And when I did that, that's when things started exploding for me. I started empathizing with women a lot more. I started actually enjoying them as people versus just validation points. I started just really understanding them at a higher level, which actually made my game or whatever you want to call it even better. I became more attractive around them because I could talk. I just understood the lifestyle. I understood what they when we're going through. I can be more empathetic, more socially intelligent about things. Also, I became the guy that wasn't going out hunting for women. I'm the guy now, and back even then when I was learning it, where I would take 6 to even up to 30 girls with me at a time out to a bar or club. And then every other girl's like, who the fuck's this guy? He's like surrounded by girls. So it became this thing of like abundance where I'm like, all right, this is becoming really easy. And then high status guys, rich guys, top club promoters in Vegas and San Diego, they want to be my best friend. They're like, yo, can you bring your female friends out? Can you bring these girls out to our parties or events? So now I'm getting free yachts, yacht parties, mansion parties. I'm being traveled around for free on jets.
So then you know what it feels like to be an attractive woman. Look at that.
Yeah, I was getting it. I was starting to realize. I'm like, wow. So this is what it's like to be a hottie. This is awesome. Like I never had this, right? So that really like when I started doubling down on that, the more and more I started doing that, I was like, this is awesome. Like, why wouldn't I want to build this lifestyle where I'm just always surrounded by women? I have access to amazing stuff for free. I was broke at the time. I was just a coach. I was a coach for other companies. And I just really lived that life for a while. And then eventually I'm like, you know what? I want more and wanted to deep dive more into it. And so I started having like real relationships and actually making, those work and really dating and just enjoying that aspect of it. I'm like, this is fulfilling as shit too. And I'm like, what was I doing this whole time? Like it didn't make sense. So
Mm.
that's kind of like the path I was going on. And then with modern flirting, I guess I realized the issue is why I started this back in 2019, because I've been doing this for 16 years, but I started this in 2019 because I realized everyone out there, if people like Google around looking for dating coaches, it's all the same shit. It's all like, we're going to teach you how to approach girls, say lines, be confident, and build that attraction, get that woman.
I
But
hope it's not all the same shit, at least from what I've experienced, because that doesn't sound like it's going to help anybody.
well, that's all I see. When I look at
Yeah.
my competition, it's like, we're going to teach you lines, have you approach women, whether it's texting, online, whatever. But the whole point is still pickup artisty stuff. It's still this idea of you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to give you stuff to do, and you're going to get girls. Which yes, we teach them on flirting. We call it that's understanding how to attracting. But the big thing I realized was missing was if guys want a quality girl, especially these like busy entrepreneurs, business owners, or just more like success-minded men, the not bitter guys I used to work with. Like the guys who find me now, they're that type. They're like the entrepreneur type. They're the busy professionals. They're the guys who have a lot of their stuff going well for them, but they're just like, this is one area I'm just frustrated. I had never learned because no one taught me. Um, I realized like they don't want to just be these creepy pickup artist guys. They don't have time to go out every night. They don't want to do my journey. So I'm like, so modern flirting had to also teach you to be attractive. And that's what was missing. How can you live an attractive lifestyle that even if you found your dream girl, she'd want to be a part of, right? So that's why, like, within my program, I have an 8-figure CEO. He makes $1 million a month teaching my guys business success, or Prince who teaches guys biohacking and fitness. When I brought him on, I lost 30 pounds myself. I was clinically obese, and he helped me get, more my ideal body right now. We help people with time management. We help people with their social circles, their friends groups. It's really a whole dating is just not doesn't do it justice anymore. It's lifestyle. We really just help them live in a very, very attractive lifestyle while still, yes, giving them the techniques, the psychology, the structure that does help them meet and attract the kind of women that they really want.
And I think that's great that you look at like the whole person, because I think it does require, honestly, a big energy shift for anyone to go from I don't know what I'm doing in dating to I know what I'm doing, rather than okay, wait, what's the line that I use? So I think that's great. And I kind of, it goes back to what I started with at the beginning of, thinking about how socially, if you have a good group of friends, or like you said, maybe if you surround yourself with 30 women, then you'll just get more that come to you. I do get a lot of women that talk to me about how it's really important for a guy that she's dating to have friends. Is that something that you work on with guys? And I feel like, do you feel like people are lacking in social circles kind of when they come to you?
Yes, that's literally our bread and butter. That's primarily what we're all about. We want to teach guys, number one, to go out and meet women. Online dating, cold approaching women, meeting, a girl out and about in their everyday life, and social circle, leveraging whoever they know to be introduced through friends. If we look at it in business terms, that's marketing, that's acquisition. There's literally no other way to meet a girl other than through online, meeting a random stranger out and about, and being introduced to a friend. There's no other way to do it.
Are you sure about that, Jared? Because I'm a matchmaker.
Well, that would be, but how do they find you? That would be either online or being introduced through you. I would argue that's being introduced.
Okay, fine, right? fine. I'll accept it. I was just feeling left out.
Well, I'm saying, like, you're paying someone to introduce you, right? It's either an introduction, a random approach, or an online encounter. From there, you have to learn how to attract. So you need a conversion, right? This is basically like a dating funnel at this point.
And men eat this shit up, I'm sure.
Oh, for
having the system.
Yeah. It gives it a system because we need it. As men, we need it, right? As much as, because for women, as much as it's great to be like, I want things to just naturally happen, and one thing leads to another, and that spark is there or it's not, the chemistry is there or it's not. For women, they get to just kind of like go along for the ride and are either stopping it or continuing it. It's either go, stop, and that's it. And they go along for the ride, and obviously they have to put their best foot forward while they're interacting with the guy. But that's kind of the female's role there. The man is the one who has to initiate everything, whether it's the approach, whether it's the kiss, whether it's asking the date, getting the number, whether it's sex, whether it's being in a relationship, although some women will take that on, I guess. All of it, it's the man to plan the date, to pay for the date. It's the man's job to lead. So while it's great and romanticized to say, let's just let whatever happens and have no system and whatever, that's doing the men a severe disjustice, because now they're just left clueless. They don't have anything, and it's doing women a disjustice, because if we can teach men how to give women an incredible experience, how to give them that ride that they want to be on, that they want to be like, yes, keep going, this is awesome, how to make them feel good, how to give them positive emotions. If we can teach men a system to do that, that serves everybody. That's the best of both worlds here. So to do that, what I basically did is I looked at all my success in the past and what I've gotten my students to do, and I came up with something called the attraction ladder. It's a step-by-step from meeting all the way to releasing pressure, whether it's sex or relationship, all the way through what that kind of process should look like. And we talk about a lifestyle event, a container event, which is you should be doing something in your life that builds your social circle, your core group. So that could be with high status men, it could be with beautiful women, it could be with any friends you want, but it should connect. It should be something you're funneling people to and enjoying. And then you should learn how to retain women in your life, whether it's friends, it could be friends with benefits if everybody's happy with it, and it should be a girlfriend. And that will lead to something, actually serious. And I think that retention part is something severely lacking in this industry. A lot of guys always talk about meet and attract, but no one really talks about how to keep. I just got a text message yesterday how this guy said, your program saved my marriage. He was going through divorce and used our systems, used what we teach, and he literally saved that marriage. To date, I'm responsible for over 180 marriages that I even know of, because we actually will show this is the best way to keep a really incredible girl when you're ready.
That's awesome. And I'm so happy that you're bringing people together. So thank you from, one matchmaker to another, it seems like.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you something about the social circle aspect,
Hmm.
because I do hear this a lot as well, that a lot of women might not like that a guy is surrounded by a bunch of other beautiful women when they get
Sure.
into a relationship. So how did you approach that once you met someone you wanted to be with?
So there's a difference between like and what we are triggered by psychologically, right? So when a guy is seen as so there's a difference between a player, someone who looks at you as a player, and someone who's pre-selected. So the concept of pre-selection is something that was developed by Robert Thorndike back in the 1960s, I believe, where he did a study. Women would classically say what you said. I don't like guys when other women are around them. I don't want the competition. I think it's scummy. I don't like it. Blah blah blah. It was just understood that a gentleman had to be seen by himself and distance himself from other women because women would be very upset, right? Robert Thorndike kind of reversed this. What he showed is he asked women to rate a man's attractiveness based on this picture. And classically, he asked 100 women, and the average score was they give him a 6 out of 10. Okay. Then he showed another 100 women the exact same picture of the guy, but in this picture, you also see a woman looking at him smiling, clearly into him. And all of a sudden, the average score of this man became an 8. So this idea of, and which makes sense on an evolutionary standpoint, that women will have a gut attraction towards men that they see that other women clearly want,
Oh, totally
because
agree on that. Yes.
because it trigger. I mean, look at Backstreet Boys, the marketing for all these, like Backstreet Boys or bands, whatever. It's women chasing after them, which makes them more. Oh my God, Elvis, super sexy, women screaming, wanting him. So of course, more women want him, right? The difference here is pre-selection is women want the man, but if the man is chasing after all the women, very unattractive. That is the stuff that women actually don't like. They don't want the guy that's literally going out and looking for all these girls, aka the pickup artist. That is a very unattractive
Yeah.
identity, right? So the way it kind of works is with your lifestyle, you should have women and male friends, but that shows when a woman first meets a guy or sees his life and realizes other women want this guy. Clearly, he has abundance. He has options to choose from, right? Once once she will become attracted to it, we need to help make that connection where the guy has to go, yes, I have these options, but I am choosing you. I am putting my time and resources towards you. If he does something with his female friend, she's invited out, she's part of it, and she realizes she, won the pot and whatnot, right? It's the problem when a guy's just like, I'm always out with these girls and I'm trying to chase after these girls and showcasing and like trying to look like Dan Bilzerian kind of thing. That's where it can be seen as a problem, and that's when it can be actually
Right.
unattractive for women.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. Like you were explaining of like, yeah, I'm out with 30 women. Like I could see that maybe being a little bit of a turnoff, but like you said, I think having female friends or friends of the opposite sex, obviously that you're not romantically involved with, I think that's important for everybody. You know,
Hmm.
it would be strange if we only had friends of the same sex, but sure, it happens for some people.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask you as well, like, how hard was it for you to take the pickup artist out of the old pickup artist and become,
Yeah.
a little different?
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm gonna be real. Like some of the stuff they teach is effective and it does work. I think a lot of it. I think it's not so much a problem with some of the tools or techniques as much as it is the intention behind
Yeah.
it. So what I really looked at, because I didn't want to stop teaching or doing things that like this is useful, this is good for the guy and the girl. Like it's fun or it's playful or it's a confident way to approach or whatever it might be, right? But you brought up a great point earlier on and said, well, how do we make sure it's not manipulative? And that's what really bothered me. That's the stuff that
Yeah.
where I'm like my own code of ethics and morality. I'm like that's what I really did a fine tooth with, and like really like looked at everything with a fine comb. And what I basically had to do is define manipulation. And maybe other people have different definitions of this, but how I define manipulation is getting someone to do something for your benefit that is a disbenefit for them, that is not unbeneficial for them. If I convince you somehow through trickery or whatever to do something that benefits me, but at the end of the day, you're going to feel worse. You're not going
Hmm.
to like it. I look at that as pure manipulation, right?
I would agree.
So I,
Yeah.
so I looked at it. So for example, there's something in the pickup artist community called negs, right? So negs is something saying like, by the way, you have like a little eye booger on your eye right there. So a neg,
Oh, I was like, I do?
no, that's the whole point of it though, right? It's to make
Where
you
is
self-conscious. That's a neg.
it?
So the whole point of that was just to make you self-conscious, self-aware, worry about yourself. It's a momentary thing to
Oh,
shoot down your validation where now you're more on the even playing field with me. To make you more, it's to make you feel a little worse about yourself. Just a small little whatever to make you more self-conscious. And then
interesting.
now I'm more of a source of validation to you, right? To me, that's pure manipulation. But that would be a classic technique. However,
And
if
just
I did
approaching someone out of the blue with that info, or you throw this in during conversation.
during the conversation, you wouldn't
Okay,
approach
okay.
with it. Yeah.
Like that
You
would
wouldn't
be
approach that way.
strange.
No,
Okay.
no. However, things like, teasing a girl, right? So for example, maybe I'm on a date with a girl and we're playing the basketball game and she goes to shoot and I block it and goes prison rules, or I push her out of the way to try to play with it and she pushes me back. So like I'm teasing her, I'm playing with her. It's not really unbeneficial to her. It's just funny. It's joking around with each other, right? Or maybe she does something really goofy or snorts. I'm like, wow, that was really sexy. Like like just in a way where she's just like, oh my god, stop. Anything that would get that playful punch on the shoulder, the jaw drops. This could be a good way to build attraction. Technically it's breaking rapport so that those sparks can start flying again. It makes it not boring. That I see as beneficial for both. I see that as being fun for the girl and the guy. So that's something I'm happy to teach and happy to do. I just have the clear distinction. It should, no matter what, at the end of the day, the girl is having a good experience and she's loving it as much as the guy is. So that's really what I ended up doing. I looked at everything I knew and thought and whatnot and just said, you know what? This has to be absolutely an amazing experience for the girl every step of the way. As long as it is, then let's go for the ride.
Ooh, I like it. And this leads me to another question that I'm excited for you to answer. That how would you say, I know you said you've been doing this for 16 years, so I'm sure you have seen, transitions in how men and women and interact in society and within relationships and how traditional gender roles are not everyone's goal. Does, what you teach, how has it shifted or has it shifted over the course of doing this with that in mind?
The biggest thing is technology. I mean, you got to realize when I was doing this 2006, 2007, I mean, I was going out to bars and getting they would have to write their number on a piece of paper or a napkin. So I would come home and empty out all the napkins in my pocket and all this stuff. It was very different. Now we've got the, Instagram, we got the dating apps, we've got all the ghosted is a thing. It wasn't a thing back when I was, talking to girls. So ultimately what we have here and what it transformed is a fake sense of abundance. So guys have to, unfortunately, dating scene is harder because women are inundated with more validation, more abundance, more guys to choose from. Women always knew that, they can have access to sex when they meet a guy, but their ability to meet a guy used to be way more limited back in the day. Now,
and everyone's ability. Yeah.
Everyone's ability. But yes and no, right? So you'd think it's even playing field, but if you look at for example, and this is why I love online dating stuff because we get really interesting statistics we didn't have back in the day. So for example, if you look at a guy's swiping patterns, it's roughly 50-50, more towards swiping right. So it's 56% to 44% no's, 56% yes, but it's roughly 50-50 when they say yes or no on girls they see online. Women will swipe right 80-something% of the time. Sorry, left. They'll swipe left 84% of the time, right? But think about what that means. That means that women as a whole, the majority of women, find only about 15% of the male population to be dateable. So do men really have that abundance? Beyond that, it's become a meme at this point that women want a guy who's 6 foot and above. Right? Only 15% of men are 6 foot and taller. If you get to 6'2" and taller, we're talking about 4.6 or something. It's 4 point something% of men are 6'2" and taller. So what we've done for women, because of all this fake abundance out there, is they've severely limited the dating pool, which guess what? Makes the vast majority of men feel unattractive. It makes them feel unworthy. It makes them feel hopeless. They're not getting these swipes. They're trying to swipe. No one's matching with them, right? And then if they do get a match, or they do meet a girl on the ballot, they do get introduced to a friend, one mess up, you do something off, you do something that's, not the most attractive thing, you act what we call uncalibrated or do something a little bit weird or awkward or off-putting, you're done. Okay, the girl realizes, well, instead of trying to make this work, instead of giving another chance, instead of trying to figure this out, why don't I just go to my next option? I mean, look at my Instagram. I've got a million heart emojis, fire emojis, guys hitting me up, constantly messaging me, trying to do stuff with me. Why would I give this guy another chance when the excitement of the mystery door, the mystery box, the shiny new thing is right there, right? So it's become a lot harder in that sense for men. We have a lot more ways of connecting or meeting, but that fake abundance is making it very, very tough for the guys out there.
Right.
And it's making it tough for women too, subconsciously.
Yeah, I was going to say for women too, I talk with a lot of men and women who are both like, I get no matches on dating apps. They could be like a very attractive, awesome person, but I mean, you are being judged off of, okay, some photos, a bio, did you nail it? Am I feeling good enough today to swipe right on you? So it is just so difficult sometimes with online dating. And, we got lots of episodes on how to make that work better for you. So we don't even have to go all into that. But yeah, I do think it's really interesting. Another part of this is that a lot of women complain how men don't ask them out anymore.
Yes.
Do you think a lot of guys are worried about approaching women now just because they might think, oh, they don't want to be approached, or I don't know how to, or like, what do you find is the hesitation with men not approaching women as much?
Multiple things. So if women have the abundance and they're not giving men a chance and whatnot, in response, or maybe men start. I don't know which one, but chicken
before the egg. Yeah,
right. I don't know which one here, but men have gotten severely lazier with courtship. Men have devalued it. Men have gotten lazier. Men don't do proper dates. It's become more of the hookup culture where guys just want to do like a Netflix and chill and whatnot. Or just very, very lackluster dating. Before, it was like the norm. Like you meet a girl, you bring, chocolates and flowers or something. You hold the door open. You do gentlemanly, gestures. You try to make a really good impression, right? Mm-hmm. The common thing now, though, is the idea that it's been from the man's side of the aisle. It feels like that kind of stuff has been punished and unrewarded. In the sense that you see all these classic things where women want the bad boy, they keep seeing the guy. Women want the guy that doesn't give a shit. Women want what they can't have. Men do too, right? I mean, I think it's just human nature. But from the man's side, they see it. These women wanting not the nice guy, right? It's become a classical cliche, like the nice guy finishes last. So of course, what does that equate to being the nice guy? It equates to doing over-the-top courtship gestures. It equates to being the guy who's trying to ask girls on proper dates and doing all those like nice things. In fact, now we have that term for it called simping, where literally if a guy does what these women want of taking girls on proper dates and making it just like, oh, you're a simp. So she's just using you and all this, all that type of negative connotation that goes with it.
It annoys me so much.
Yeah.
Because why don't we like the nice guys? I love the nice guys. I don't know.
As a guy who basically lived and lives a hot girl lifestyle, I kind of realized it too from my own date. For me,
hot girl lifestyle.
Honestly, I think like a hot girl at this point, and I get it. I understand why. And in word, it's boring. It's like you understand, like even with girls, even with women sometimes. I love when a woman gives me affection and is into me and puts in the effort, so I get that. But if there's not that fun like banter, if there's not that like, you know what, like we are challenging each other and having fun doing it. If it's just if everything's just agreeable and everything's just blah, it's very boring. And you should like the person. It makes sense on paper, but the feeling just is I'm just going through the motions. It's like eating bland food. You know it's healthy for you. You know it's healthy. It's good, but it's bland. And you're just like, I'd rather have something more spicy that tastes better. So I empathize. I get it where women are coming from because I've experienced it myself. Um, and I think that just comes from anybody who has abundance. You want it, that challenge. You want that fun, that life. That's what I mean by giving women a emotional progression, giving them a fun, incredible experience where, all right, this is spicy, this is good, this is amazing, but now it's actually leading somewhere, and we can do that dating properly. We can build the attraction properly without the guy's intention of just being like, oh, I just want to be a fuckboy again, or I just want to, not have any like real intentions behind it. It's teaching the nice guys those kind of strategies and those techniques that make it fun, make it exciting again, right? But that's where we are now.
Because in the end, it's like, the biggest thing women are looking for is like trustworthiness, stability. So boring and nice is good, but obviously you have to have some spice, some excitement. You're not going to stay with someone forever and marry them who is just boring and nice. So it's like, I just want to make sure we don't say that don't be nice. Definitely be nice.
You should be nice. You should be nice, but not as a tactic to get women. You should be nice just because you're a nice guy. I think the problem also with nice guys is they'll do these nice guy things hoping for reciprocity, hoping that a girl will date them because they're being nice. Like with my female instructor, I have a female coach, Jamie, who teaches guys with me. She's like, you're supposed to be nice. You don't get points for nice. Like you're like, that's just basic
baseline
shit.
Yes.
Like this not should be a thing of like, oh, I'm nice, therefore you should give me a kiss because I was nice to you. What are you talking about? No, that doesn't equate.
Yeah. Right? And that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
So I'm curious too, because maybe a lot of the women listening might be curious to know this question. What do you think is maybe the biggest thing that men are looking for in heterosexual opposite sex relationships?
I know what it is because every guy who comes on my calls, when we bring them into the program, we ask them, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? And this is the breath of fresh air. This is the cool thing is it's both. They go, ultimately, I want my dream girl. I want a girl I can settle down with. I want a family. I want a wife. They say, I want to meet a really great girl. On my path to getting that, though, and this is where I think that the miscommunication happens, I want options. I want to know I can date a lot of different women. I want high quality women that I'm dating. I want to know that I've got a pipeline where I can constantly go out and meet girls and date them and have fun and yes, hook up and all that stuff on my quest to finding the one that checks the boxes and is awesome that I really care about and want to be with. So that I think is like the kind of journey where they're like, yes, I want to go out and have my fun adventures and do stuff and be sexual. Yes, as a guy, they are saying it. But what is interesting is you go, they want to do that to hit the ultimate goal of I do want to settle down. I do want to. So we do want the same things, and that is very rewarding and cool about like hearing all these different guys from every age range and backgrounds all kind of saying the same stuff. As one of a good friend of mine, a sex therapist, Lori Handlers, she eloquently put it though, is the cosmic joke is that men need sex to have a connection and women need a connection to have sex. And that's the kind of big disconnect, and that's a kind of a big problem with the genders here, right? So for example, let's say I'm pursuing a girl, and this is a pet peeve of mine, but it is what it is, and I can empathize and get it. But let's say I'm pursuing a girl, and I'm trying to make it flirty and sexy and whatever. She might come counter it and pull back and say, "You just want sex." And the issue with that whole mentality and sentence is the word "just." And this is what I want to say to the women audience and hearing is, men don't just want to have sex. They want to have sex, and they want it to hopefully be awesome and amazing beyond that. And that is the disconnect. So women are like, he's just trying to fuck me, use me, and peace out, right? When in reality, a guy's initial, courtship is, yes, he's going to be looking to hook up with the girl, have sex with her, because for a lot of guys, I think I heard this in a Joe Rogan podcast, and it's true. There's even a funny term for it called post-nut clarity, where a guy can be like, I don't even know if I truly like a girl until we've had sex. Men need sex for connection. Women need a connection for sex, the cosmic joke. But what's hopefully happening during this dating process is that while men are pursuing sex initially, women aren't interpreting it as just sex. They understand men do want that, yes, without a doubt. But hopefully, they're finding commonalities. They're finding that they have fun together. They're finding that they are laughing and seeing eye to eye and on the same wavelength. They're finding that they have shared values and shared missions and activities and whatnot, so that they realize beyond sex, we have a great chemistry. We have a great connection here as well. And that's what I would urge everybody to understand about men. It's there are a subset. There are a few obviously guys, guys who are literally just looking to add notches to the bedpost, and
and you'll know if
exist.
You meet one.
Yeah, like I feel like those are just so obvious. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some guys are just really really smooth at it, but like they are the minority. Funny enough, when men are really hoping for it, I would say the woman's job, so to speak, if they're worried about that, is to understand that the man's going to push things for sex. He's going to lead things to become more sexual, and that's part of it. And understand that is a man's desire. But if she is putting an effort to not just present herself as, I'm pretty and hot and you want to have sex with me and I'm just going to look really cute and sexy and hot for you, and that's all she's bringing to the table, then yes, that's all the guy's going to want. And that's something I see more and more from women that are out there and dating, is that they keep seeing men going for these hotter girls. So they're like, you know what? I got to be hotter. I got to get more sexy clothes. I got to just put more and more into treating myself as a sex object or presenting myself as a sexual being to attract and get these guys wanting me, versus being like, look, yes, I want to be as attractive as possible physically. But beyond that, when I'm interacting with this guy, are we getting along? Are we actually having the same humor? Can I find cool commonalities that we can talk on and have like deep conversations about? Can I get an insight into his life and lifestyle and be a part of that? Can I show him that I would get like along with his friends or want to like do fun stuff together, so that when this guy has sex with a girl, he goes, you know what? Sex be damned, I really have fun with this girl. I'm enjoying FaceTiming her and talking to her. I'm looking forward to that shit, because both of us have been putting in effort. And that's something even in my own dating life, I see it all the time, where women will do a really great job presenting themselves as, look how sexy and attractive I am and how hot I am, but they want to play games. They want to like distance themselves. They want to be guarded. They want walls up because they don't want to get hurt. And in reality, all it does is it stops the connection process from happening. It stops the actual bonding. And then once they finally do give in or be like, you know what, it's been 3 dates, the time has been right, I've done nothing to solidify why we're so good together. We don't have that like perfect, we're super into each other on all these non-sexual capacities. But it's been 3 dates, or 4 dates, whatever my rule is, so now I'll have sex with him. Of course the guy's going to move on after that. He's going to be like, well, I had sex, I got that, and I'm realizing there's really nothing else here to it, so on to the next.
Right. And you know what? That might happen. And, obviously set your own preferences and boundaries around what you feel comfortable with physically on dates. Just feel like, never feel like, okay, because it's this date, I have to do it. It'll be different with every person. It will be different with every single person you meet. And I really appreciate what you were saying. I think that was really great advice. I've so appreciated having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
And Jared, I want to make sure that we have an opportunity for you to plug where people can reach out to you. I know you also have a podcast. Share with us.
We're going to be launching it this week. We're doing a relaunch of it. We're really doubling down. I love it. We're going to be the Modern Flirting podcast. But you guys can reach me. Look, if you are struggling with dating, you're either very, very busy, you've seen success in other areas of your life, but for whatever reason, this area has been frustrating you and you don't have it down, you can check me out almost anywhere. Modern Flirting on YouTube, Jared Laurence on Instagram, Jared Laurence on TikTok. The best way probably is on Facebook. If you go to Modern Flirting Dating Advice on my Facebook group, you can join in that. In fact, if you do and you message me on Facebook and just say, I heard about you on the Ghosted podcast with Abby, what I'm down to do is I'm down to give you my book for free. I'm happy to send that to you. I'll
Amazing.
just, yeah, I'll send that right over to you guys. You can get the virtual PDF of it and see a little bit more about what we do. But the reason I do say the Facebook group is because I like to give and showcase everything before getting anything. And what we do in the Facebook group is very special. We do free coaching, me and one of my coaches, Cosmo, every single week. Every single Wednesday, we do free coaching calls. It's not a sales pitch. It's not a webinar. It's not fluff. We just take people's questions and we give them actionable, practical advice on that. So I think that's super useful for guys who want to just kind of really see what we're about, see if we can help them right then and there. It's really amazing. But yeah, if you Google around anywhere, Jared Laurence or Modern Flirting, I shouldn't be hard to find.
Okay, easy. And we'll put all that in the show notes as well. If you're watching on YouTube, you could just scroll down and you could click. So Jared, thank you so much for being on. I always like to end these. If there's any advice we missed or you want to add for our single listeners, some final words of wisdom.
Final words is take action. By understanding dating and being with people is a learnable and teachable skill. This is not going to just happen for you. The universe is not going to magically provide. Nothing changes if nothing changes. At the end of the day, this is something that is a skill set that can be developed. I did it for myself personally, and it was the greatest thing in my life that I ever did. And it's something I've been able to do for over 10,000 other people. But if you're still in this idea or headspace that all women want is looks and money, or you're in this headspace that, well, if I just be myself, the right one will eventually present itself eventually, and it'll then I can't really help you. But if you understand that this is like anything else in life, whether you want to go fitness, you want to get a better body, you have to learn proper form, techniques for working out and diet. If you want to start a business and make more money, you have to learn there are proper ways to market, sell, run a business. Like there are strategies and techniques for all these things. You want to learn any skill set, right? Dating is the same. And if you're really out there and you're struggling, I got you. And also, just so everybody knows, I guarantee you my stuff works as long as you guys work it or you don't pay. So I don't want to dime from anyone if I can't help them.
Well, you heard it here on the Ghosted Podcast. Yep. Thank you so much, Jared. This was great chatting with you. And again, all Jared's info is in the show notes or below. Scroll down, and hopefully we'll have you back soon.
All right. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.